everyone, and welcome to Uncut with Gina and Sukhdev. We're really pleased to have Toni Lui today as our guest. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with the program, this is where somebody comes on the program and is open to being coached by Sukhdev and myself. I'm Gina Gardner, and Sukhdev, we're both experienced coaches. Sukhdev, do you want to talk about your organization for those people who are watching?
Yes, so I'm the founder of Creative Discovery Group. We're a coaches platform or a coaches hub, and we're across 12 different countries. And we do a lot of work in Ghana, Africa. We're doing some work for Yemen during this war. And yeah, we're excited to be here.
Thank you. And I'm Gina Gardner, and my organization is Genuinely You. It's all about personal empowerment and transformational leadership. So we're going to get started. So Toni, very pleased to have you on our show. Tell us, what would you like to focus on today?
Thank you so much for having me. So I would like to focus on my professional goals because I am in transition. I trained as a physician, but I increasingly have found it's not for me. I felt I did it to please my family, who are also both physicians, and they just are very fear-based. They want me to have a stable life, and I just feel it's not the right calling for me. I'm actually drawn to becoming a life coach myself, as well as a cartoonist, because I've always loved drawing cartoon anime style ways to educate and empower, kind of to pass on messages, open people's minds, show them different perspectives, or break down really complex topics into easy to understand and fun ways.
So how does it make you feel when, on the one hand, your parents, because they want the best for you, but they're fearful if you don't go the route of being a physician? And congratulations, that's no easy training, is it? How does it make you feel when you know that they want you to do something, but actually you're yearning to do something else?
It makes me feel really conflicted, and they've used all sorts of methods, guilt tripping me, saying we've invested so much in you because they paid for my medical education and they had all this expectation. It used to make me feel resentful for choosing that path for them, and it never felt like enough. They would always find something else to complain about. It was not enough that I became a doctor. They wanted me to be a certain kind of doctor. I ultimately chose primary care. I started off in gynecology, which is a more specialized field. When I changed to primary care, they called it, oh, only the losers go there. And then I just realized there's absolutely no pleasing them. They're unhappy with themselves, and that's transferring outwards, and it's really their problem they have to deal with, and it's not mine. And I've let go of those negative feelings, and so now I think I'm just trying to strike this respectful middle ground with them, just kind of showing them that I am grateful, because they feel like if I'm not obedient, I don't listen to them, then it means I'm unappreciative. They've called me a spoiled brat, lazy, a failure, homeless loser, like all these terrible things. So it just makes me, it just makes me feel bad inside. It's hard to describe what kind of bad. I no longer feel guilty, but I just kind of, oof. It's hard to describe that feeling. It's like wanting to show them how thankful I am to them. And I know that part of them wanting me to be financially well off also is so that I guess they have these expectations that I can take care of them later on, that I can take them out occasionally to nice meals and vacations. These are all things I want to do for them too, but especially now while transitioning to a new career and I'm trying to figure out the finances, and I'm not making a livable income right now, so I am still relying on doing medical work.
So that was going to be my next question. You're still working as a physician?
I am.
Is that full-time, part-time?
It has just been part-time up until recently. I actually just signed a contract to do a full-time physician's job because it's telemedicine. So that actually fits in with my values of being location independent, because I have this yearning to travel the world and see the world, live all over in different places, and learn from people of other cultures, their ways of life, and really bring us all closer. I feel like that's my big mission in life, just to bring everyone together and realize we're way more similar than we are different. And I just feel like I want to be there. I want to be an advocate. I want to just bring hearts closer together. And my parents don't understand that, but I feel like this is probably the middle ground that I'm finding right now. I can still, well, when the pandemic eases up a bit, then I can go and resume my nomadic journey. Um, but I just felt like in the interim, since I can't really do too much with COVID and I'm finding with entrepreneurship and trying to make all my side hustles work, I'm working anyway, maybe 60 hours a week, maybe more. And so I just felt I could do the 40 hours with the medicine and then still work on all of my passions anyway. There isn't too much else to do right now with the
It's
pandemic.
interesting, isn't it? Because lots of people that I meet and work with have this real sense of purpose, and you have a very well-defined sense of purpose, and it's a great one, I have to say. But often feel that it's got to be black or white, it's got to be either or.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is that you can use one as the platform to do and create the other.
Mm-hmm.
And you've started, I mean, that's where you are at the moment, is that you've got your work as a physician, but ultimately that's working towards you living your mission.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you could deliver your mission as a physician if that's what you choose to. And I'm not pressurizing you, not at all. But I think that if you give yourself the space
Mm-hmm.
where you create success in the areas that you really want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and then you do 30 hours positioning, and then 20, and then 10, that you will then remain financially independent, which I think is a big issue, as it sounds, for your parents, that you can be seen to be successful financially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let me ask you, you talk about coaching, and then you talk about cartooning. What I found interesting is the shift in energy, because when you talk about coaching, there's definitely a more positive energy than when you're talking about being a physician. But when you talk about cartoons, you come to life. There's this bright light that just emanates from you. Do you want to talk me through how you feel about those two, and where you are? Why a coach? What is it that's going on there?
Thank you. Sorry, I don't know why I'm tearing up. I think with cartooning, it's just sorry, always been my childhood dream, and I feel like I've set it aside, and I feel like I've fallen prey to all the things they say about artists can't make it. Artists have to live out of a box or be struggling.
That's a belief.
Mm-hmm.
Are beliefs always true?
No.
Okay, so it's a belief.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's up to you whether you make it true or not.
Mm-hmm.
The danger is that it becomes a self-fulfilling belief if you believe it, and that's the energy that you're living in, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we talked about, let me just suggest a scenario to you, because I think we've hit a nerve here. Before I do, I'm really interested, why life coaching, when actually the dream is not to become a life coach? I don't think. The dream is to become a cartoonist.
I feel that life coaching, I was drawn to it because I really enjoy deep, soulful connections and conversations with other people. And I really feel strongly that I want everyone to shine their lights, to be the best and most authentic versions of themselves that they can be. And when I started my journey when I graduated residency, and I just tried to be a blogger and share my cartoons and share my ideas with the world, I felt, well, when they always say with online businesses or any kind of entrepreneurship, you can't be self-centered. You have to think of who you're helping. And I felt that just showing my work or my journey, I mean, trying to live by example wasn't enough. I wanted to help people more directly. And the more I learned about coaching, and I've had some coaches reach out to me and offer to coach me, And I was really moved by that, and I found it very transformational, and I just felt I would love to pass that on and bring that change to other people too.
Sounds great, and sounds as if, and the two things would could coexist very well. I was just interested at the very different energies that came when you spoke. And ultimately, let me ask you, through your cartoons, do you think you can bring about change in other people's thinking?
I hope so. Um, I think so. I think I've struggled with believing in myself and my abilities. And same with coaching, because I felt like I don't have the skills, or that I would need additional training and more practice. I feel like I've been doing cartooning long enough. Coaching is something that I only started learning and practicing 5 months ago, but I've been drawing my whole life. So I
So
feel more.
I get a sense that actually, if I cut you in half, not that I'm going to suggest we do that, that actually it's got cartoon written all the way through you, down your bones, that's part of who you are. Could I be right, do you think?
Well, definitely, I think drawing is part of who I am.
Okay. And one
Expressing.
of the challenges is if you don't allow yourself to be who you truly are, then that's going to cause all sorts of issues, both emotional, they will, you know very well, they'll translate into physical difficulties, but spiritually,
Mm-hmm.
it's important that you embrace that you are an artist, that you are creative, and that you need to live in that creative space.
Mm-hmm.
What I would say to you is that being a physician, particularly being general care, a lot of that is about coaching, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of overlap.
That that actually you can achieve, certainly while you develop other skills, you can achieve your life's goal using the hat of physician. It's about a mindset. So I want to explore with you, if you could deliver your goal, which is to make a difference to people, to help them to live more fulfilled, happier, healthier lives. And you could do that in a way that you could still travel and you could still draw. But instead of seeing being a physician as, if I do that, then actually I've given in to my parents, and that you know, I'm, I'm not doing what I want, I'm doing what they want. If you let go of that and saw physicianing, for want of a better expression, as a platform to support and help people, how would that feel?
I've tried seeing it that way. I I guess it's been hard because to keep up as a physician, you have to maintain a ton of reading and medical knowledge, all these things. I've always been more of an arts creative person than a science person. So, not that I did poorly on tests, I've never failed, but it just doesn't, I don't
It,
enjoy reading about it. And I feel like having to keep up with all of this and all of that, it just,
I just
so
needed to
trying to get
explore
over
it
that,
with you,
trying to get
really.
away from
Yeah.
it.
And it just felt right to explore that with you. Uh,
Mhm.
but at um, the very core of it is about transitions don't last forever. It's a means to an end. And ultimately, by um, sitting with it and making it work for you, it doesn't have to feel painful unless you choose to make it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I'm going to hand over to Sukhdev. So Sukhdev, where would you like to take this conversation with Toni?
It's a tough one because my parents, I think it's a cultural thing. When certain parents have expectations of a, with us, for example, it was like you can't date and you can't don't talk to girls kind of thing. And then myself, I ended up marrying outside the culture. And, you know, so I can sort of relate to how there's a certain expectation, and that's the way they see their child. And I think we all see our children growing up and having a certain kind of life. And then when that sort of falls through, the parents feel like, where did we go wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And instead of looking at, well, this is their life. And in a lot of it in culture, I find it happens. So thanks for sharing that. That's a big thing. But I'm going to twist it a little bit. So I'm going to go with your artistic side here. So if you're a cartoon and you're going to create your own character of the best character you could be for yourself, and you had to sketch it out, what would that character's traits be?
Do you mean
you're doing like you're a doctor now, you want to get into coaching and, you know, cartooning and all, like there's a lot of things, but if there was just one character that you could create, what would that look like?
And is this character supposed to represent the ideal me?
Yes.
Okay, the best version of me. Well, I feel like that character, I just think of their personality traits more than what exactly they do. You know, they're very warm, empathetic, caring, loving, open-minded, and accepting of everyone. And yeah, and very, gosh, very brave, authentic, lives true to their values, confident, and stands up for what they believe in. It defends other people too, and rights injustices. I definitely feel very strongly when I do see wrong in the world. And I guess that person is also very creative. Is very. I'm an introvert, and I don't have infinite energy, but I feel like in certain areas and certain topics, I really do light up, and all this creativity comes out. And I love working with teams and other people and bouncing ideas off of each other. So yeah, I think the ideal me would just be a creator. This is really
So when you're talking about righting the wrongs in the world, where do you feel like there was a right and a wrong that happened in your life?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
You're talking about righting the wrongs in the world, making them right. Can you give me an example of when that happened in your life that you felt that way?
Well, I guess I think one of the wrongs is just like all the familial pressures when they treat you disrespectfully. They just treat you as kind of an extension of them. They think they can absolutely control you, and I feel that's really wrong. And I want to help other people who've experienced that. And I think for experience, you know, like all of those. I feel really strongly for victims of domestic violence and sexual assault and abuse. I feel like that's really violating someone's personal boundaries. I thankfully haven't experienced that, or at least like, if only on just the most mild levels. I think being a female and person of color, experience that sometimes, just some discrimination in the workplace, or other people think, yeah, you're a certain ways. All these stereotypes and these judgments, I think those are wrongs. But yeah, for some reason, I just feel so strongly about those, just kind of, any kind of violation of someone's personal boundaries.
Yeah, I can tell you hold a lot of, you haven't really let go of the things that happened in your family. You haven't fully let it go. Am I right? Are you still living at home?
I'm not sure. I think I have moved past that. I don't think I'm trying to rebel. I think I'm just trying to find a way to make everyone happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I started off going too extreme in the other direction, and now it's just, I
Yeah.
think it's possible to find a win-win situation for everyone. But
Okay.
I also think there's only so much you can do if people are not self-aware, they don't admit that there's an issue, they don't want to improve and seek help. Because I've encouraged, asked my parents, how about we go to family therapy together or see a professional or talk through our differences? And they just say, it's not our problem. There's nothing wrong with us. It's all your problem. You can go see a shrink. Like, just all these things. And other
Yeah.
people said, you know, when it's too toxic, it's best to walk away. But I can't imagine cutting them out of my life entirely.
No, no.
Other people
I
have said.
think dealing with parents is a real challenge. You know, there's no blueprint as a parent which says the baby's born, this is going to be the ideal way to deal with that baby. I think culturally there's such strong conditioning, ancestral conditioning, which is you do things in this way. And I have no doubt that your parents love you to bits in their way, and they want success for you, but the success is based on their blueprint of success.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, you know, it's imagine that they've got a pair of glasses on that are actually, they can't see anything other than that through
Yeah.
the glasses that they've got on.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you love you?
That's a great question. I think it's increasing every day. I think I don't love myself enough yet.
Okay. So if I would say, I want to get a sense of where you think you are. And one of the techniques that people who've been watching the show will be very familiar with is I calibrate it by saying 10 out of 10 would be that completely, 1 out of 10, no way. In reality, where do you think you are, generally speaking? I mean, I know day by day that might change, but where do you think that your default setting is in terms of feeling that you have self-worth and feel enough and that you're confident about loving who you are?
I think I definitely used to be in the bottom half, like a 2 or 3. The past 5 years, I've done a lot of work on myself, therapy and self-help books, and excuse me. And I think I'm definitely in the upper half now. I would put myself at I would say an 8. I do love myself. I recognize I have a lot to offer the world. Um, and I just am struggling with figuring out the the best way to do that. And I think just trying to let go, when you had said before, of this desire to make my parents happy, to prove to them that I'm okay, that I can achieve my version of success and their version of success. Because I was thinking I would gladly not be a doctor ever again if I was making whatever the 6 figures that they want me to make just for my art. Um, and coaching. I mean, I
Oh,
think, I don't know if I would just, well, actually, never mind. I guess I would just do art if it was making me enough. If each thing I was able to produce, each collaboration, I was paid well for it, then I would do it.
if I said to you, the only person that you can be totally and utterly responsible for, radically responsible for, is you.
Mhm.
But at the moment, you're trying to be responsible for you and your parents. The challenge in that is it doesn't matter how much you try to be responsible for their happiness, it's not going to work because they're responsible for that.
Mhm.
You're responsible for everything you say and do, how and when, everything that you don't do.
Mhm.
But what strikes me is there's a difference between making a compromise that you feel is a really good one that you can live with, it doesn't impose on your values in a negative way, and being compromised. And the feeling that I get is that in trying even now to please them, that you're not making a compromise. It's not a win-win negotiation. That actually it's compromising who you are. And that's having an impact on your being able to truly love who you are. Now, when I say that, and it's just, I call it a gut dump, you know, it's what I'm feeling, but it might not be right. Does that feel right to you? Does it feel your truth? Or is it, I'm just picking up something and it's not true?
Sorry. I do feel that it is not ideal, or at least it's definitely not something sustainable I want to keep doing. Um, I I do feel a little bit like it's giving in, but I do have a longer plan for taking this job. It's 2 years, and I don't know if you've heard of the financial independence retire early movement.
No.
That's when you invest into the stock market in index funds, which are just a basket of the top 500 companies.
Yeah.
Lots of people have done this. They've been able to generate about 6 to 7% return on investment overall each year. There's ups and downs. Of course,
Yeah.
you have to weigh them out. But then if you're able to live off of 4% or less of that portfolio, then you are financially independent. You never have to work for money ever again. That's the point that I want to reach. And I think I can do that by the end of this 2-year job with the telemedicine. I will have saved up my portfolio goal of, I mean, I can live off 400,000, which is generating about, I think, like 15 or 18,000 a year, because I live very simply. And so that's the point of freedom that I want to reach. And especially since I want to live abroad anyway, and it's cheaper to live abroad. So I feel like for right now, I'm making this sacrifice, not being ideal me for that point later. And at that point, I feel like I can just volunteer my skills with the world and not expect to be paid, even though hopefully money will follow when I follow my passions. But even if, because I feel like I've been raised as a very pessimistic person, and I feel like all the coaches, other people I've talked to, are like, when you take these risks, you have to believe it first before you can see it. And I'm just like, I've tried, but I feel like these are just empty affirmations I'm telling myself that, that I can be successful at whatever I do. And so I'm just like, I need to see it to believe it. I need to set myself up, and then I can just go and do that.
I'm going to really challenge you, all right? Because you're saying that I can be the best me when all of these things happen. When externally it's proved that I'm the best me because I've been successful in this and successful in that. Okay, that's not what being your best you is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Your best you is being the best you today.
Mm-hmm.
Not compromising in acknowledging that you are a unique, amazing, creative human being. You've got flaws, but you are enough. And that actually, why not enjoy each day of the journey?
Mm-hmm.
And see this is the next step in my journey, and I'm going to be the best version of me in this moment, and then the next, and then the next. Because what you're doing is you're putting everything out into the future.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the I'll be happy when syndrome. I'll be happy when I've got the big car and the good job, and I've got parents who don't nag, and I've got a perfect boyfriend, and I've got a cat who's not meowing at me to say feed me. It's all in the future. I'll be my perfect me when I've achieved all of these goals. But when you've achieved those goals, there'll be some more. Will you not be your perfect you then? Will you wait till you've achieved those before you're perfect you? You're perfect now. It's time to step into that. And when you do, then everything becomes less of an effort. Because at the moment, what you're trying to do is to hold back the tide of your parents' disapproval. And you're trying to forge ahead and create this successful business. It's exhausting. If you just relax into being you, loving who you are, taking each step, I think you'll find that you achieve a very different sort of success, and you achieve it much more quickly. because the success is actually in being comfortable about who you are. Does that make sense?
Okay. Mhm. It does. Thank you.
Super. Sorry, go on.
Oh yes, no, thank you. I'm trying. Oh, sorry. I'm trying not to put my life on hold. I fall into that.
It's not the life bit I'm talking about. It's the relationship with you bit that I'm talking about.
Mm.
What you do, you are more than what you do.
Mhm.
We're called human beings for a reason. It's who you are being, not what you are doing, that's important. And it's loving who you are, whatever you're doing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sukhdev.
Yes, you're talking about some of these false affirmations. What were some of the false affirmations you feel like you told yourself?
They're not so much false, just they feel kind of empty because it's not really reaching deep on my subconscious belief in changing them. Just the
Okay.
affirmation that everything that we want, if we live in an abundant world and everything we want is available to us, we can create whatever reality um,
Mhm.
that we want
Yeah.
to.
And what were some that you told yourself, like specifically? Like,
Um, I guess that I could create a six-figure business off my passions, doing only work that I'm passionate about, that lights me up every day.
okay, so so that's success. That's how you're measuring like financial success, I guess.
Yes, the
Okay.
vocational success or job. I know life is so much more than just your
Yeah.
job. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like with the other areas of my life, I've been able to improve those. I really enjoy my free time. I have a ton of hobbies. I enjoy sports, being outside as much as possible,
Yeah.
journaling, meditating, connecting with close friends. Still
Yeah.
seeking my ideal relationship partner and everything too. But in terms of that, you know what it was? It was what I ran into, which is finding that I feel like there's no ideal job. There are always going to be parts that we're not in flow or enjoying, because with starting your own business, I really did not like all the marketing and sales and that part of business. It really
Like,
didn't feel like me. And that's what made me feel like, oh, I'd rather just be an artist, or I'd just like work for somebody else who tells me what to do and pays me. And I get to just coach or just draw and not have to
yeah.
think.
I'm
Yeah.
smiling because we had a conversation before the show recording. And I think you'll find many, particularly coaches, will just like somebody to pass them the diary on a Monday morning and saying, here's your clients.
Your clients, yeah.
But then you've got to get real, I'm afraid. And ultimately, when you're successful enough, you get somebody else to do it. Yeah.
These are going to be like, it's life. It's going to give you challenges when you're talking about business or anything. Yes. There's always going to be challenges, and I think you're going to learn from them. And building that system where you start feeling good, like when was a challenge that you thought, and there was a real struggle, and then you ended up overcoming that? Can you give me an example when that once happened before, like in your life, anytime?
I think I've had a boring life. I was just saying, I think I've been living in fear a lot. I'm very risk averse. I haven't taken
Yeah.
too many risks, but
Was
so
there a
it's
time you went into a test for to become a physician, and you were like, "Oh no, like I don't know how I'm gonna do." Was there some sort of fear ever, like, and then you like overcame it?
I think not regarding the test, but just surviving residency training. When
Okay.
in between from gynecology to primary care, I thought about leaving medicine entirely because I just felt I could not complete a residency training program. Just like, how can I gain that confidence to lead a team? Or, yeah. take care of a patient as a leader, but I was able to graduate. Although there was still that feeling of being an imposter syndrome. Like I just skated by, like.
Yeah. So
So,
how did that feel? Like, what were your feelings that you were going through during that time?
when I overcame it, or
Yeah,
when I did complete it, I felt, yeah, I just felt really proud of myself.
exactly.
I was able
Yeah,
to do it.
yeah. So when you're starting, like if your passion is to start your own business and you're going to have feelings like you're not, is this ever going to happen for you? How's it going to happen? There's going to be all these challenges that come up. If you don't give up, just like you didn't give up in your schooling or when you were changing your career field, it'll you'll get those same feelings. Now, once you can start creating that positive feeling to these challenges, the challenges aren't going to seem as tough anymore. There's always going to be life. Life's always going to happen at you. You know, like there's going to be good things, bad things, in between things. Something's always happening in life, but it's the way you build that relationship from your feelings when you're going through these obstacles and challenges serve you because you've already been there. You've already proved that you can do it.
Evidence is there, isn't it?
Thank you. I think the skeptical part of me, though, is saying I've proved I could survive something that was finite and well defined. Entrepreneurship is not. Like I feel like I could be working and not not reach that success of entrepreneurship or just having consistent clients. Even if I work at it my entire life. So
One of the
that's
things that all of us, I think, as we move into the new norm post-pandemic, those who can be more comfortable with uncertainty are going to do better. If you need absolute certainty about everything, it will leave you paralyzed. You'll stay within a very small comfort zone. I want you to imagine that, we are all in a container. The container is our limiting beliefs, okay? So imagine you go to the fair and you buy a goldfish, and they give you the little round bowl about that sort of size, don't they? Yeah? And the fish stays in this bowl and it swims round and round and round. And so the owner thinks, I need to find a bigger container. And so they buy a tank and they put gravel in the bottom and they put a nice archway and plants and things. But it's still a container and it's still got these glass walls. Okay, similarly to the glass ceiling in terms of people, it keeps you in that container. But actually, if you put that fish in a lake or in the ocean, depending on whether it's a saltwater or a freshwater fish, those confines aren't there because all it needs is the water. Yeah. And I think what's happening with you is you keep putting yourself in containers. Your parents did it to start with, and you're now putting yourself into small containers because you're fearful that you won't succeed. Problem with that is it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You are destined to be in a huge container with no constraints other than those that you choose to put in there. It's time to believe. The universe is benign, but you have to believe it and emotionally engage with the outcome that you want long before it becomes the outcome. Because you're giving the universe a very, very mixed message. I want this big purpose. Well, but only if you tell me exactly how I'm going to do it and when and where, and that you can guarantee I've got a six-figure and. Okay. So the universe says, well, actually, she doesn't want a big container. She likes her little goldfish bowl. Or, okay, we'll put her in a small tank, but she doesn't want the big out there. Yeah. It's time to decide, make a choice, and to start with it will feel unfamiliar. It'll feel uncomfortable. But the interesting thing is the more you are prepared to step out of your comfort zone, the more it expands. Yeah. You have big dreams, big hopes, big talents. You are a big energy if you choose to be. And you can make a huge difference to your own life. And the only time your parents will actually see is when you choose to step into your power. They may never understand you. You've been brought up in a very different way, haven't you? Different life. They may never understand, and you may never earn the amount of money that they choose, that they have determined is successful, but that's their stuff. Own your stuff. And they can say things, but it doesn't make it true. They can think things, but it doesn't make it true. It's for you to create your own truth, your own future, and own it.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think
That
the tricky
container piece made me think, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think the tricky thing is I want to engage with the universe and believe in that ideal outcome. I guess I feel stuck. I'm not sure how, because I thought I was doing it the past 5 months. And I I think if I was really honest with myself, I feel like that limiting belief hasn't changed. How do I know I'm making progress? How do I know if I'm doing it right? Or that,
How do any of us know? All you
yeah,
can do is give it your very best. But I think what my sense check of what's happening is that I'm working on my limiting belief. However, I don't really believe. And ultimately, working on your one's limiting beliefs is about what are you going to, if you don't replace it with something, the old one will come back.
mm-hmm.
And I think that the old saying, fake it till you make it. Have you heard that saying? That's really helpful, because to start with, you don't believe. But the more you embody it, the more you live it, the more it becomes real to you. Okay, and 5 months is a relatively short space of time when you think of all of the conditioning that you've had in the 30 years that you've been alive, and then the ancestral conditioning. So I suspect that you're here to break the ancestral cycle. Okay, and in doing that, then help other people to do the same. But ultimately, it is about, you've got a really strong sense of purpose, you know the why. Just allow the how to come about. But it won't come about in your time scale, it'll be divine time scale. And the more you push it, the more difficult it will be to make it happen. So some of this is about practice. Make your daily practice as if you were living that successful life, and that successful life will come.
Sorry, Sukhdev, you were saying something.
Yes. So one thing that I want to touch on was that container. I had to write it down because I would have forgot. The piece about, what was that now? This is why we're uncut. Oh, right. So we're living in the container. So your parents wanted, they had a certain kind of vision for you, what your success would look like, right? That was a doctor. Do you think a part of it was feeding their ego? Like, so they can say, oh, my daughter is a doctor, or, you know, my child made it, things like that?
Definitely.
And, yeah. So, yeah, and yeah, I kind of picked that up. So you've proven that you can be successful for other people, right? Because you made it. You made it in that sense. Now, because that what I'm getting is that's not you. That's, you know, that's not what you want to do. So now it's time for you to create your own success, create your own life. That's why you're in that container, because you've always lived in that container, doing things for your parents. They have a dream of living with you and you taking care of them when they're old.
Oh, not living with me, and not
Oh,
even.
okay. They're not living with you, just taking care of them. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So like, is that in your future as well? Like, do you see that as well? What they for the future, do you see that in your future?
I mean, I wouldn't mind if they needed the help. I think it's sad when the elderly get sent to nursing homes and they die of loneliness. I would be
Yeah.
happy to do that, but I feel that if they continue to be toxic influences in my life, then I would need to put that distance, that separation. I couldn't have them living with me. I don't think they have high expectations of that. I think they just want the peace of mind, as they say, that I'm taken care of, that I am very sad, and that in case of medical disasters and bankruptcy from medical bills, I will be fine.
Yeah.
They have enough money to take care of themselves and beyond, and probably pass on an inheritance. I don't think they actually plan to rely on me to take care of them.
Okay. Okay. So that's good. You've thought ahead to the future. You've thought ahead that far. So that's a good thing. You're already doing that. So when you're talking about like entrepreneurship,
Mm-hmm.
I know you can be successful. Like I already, you're a smart person. You do have some limiting beliefs. So to break through those limiting beliefs, I want you to start celebrating the small wins. Like you're here today. Celebrate that. That's a piece of success. And where are you going to go? Something else is going to happen. You know, you're not gonna super successful tomorrow. All of a sudden, you're like, you have all these people are calling you, hey, can I, come coach me, kind of thing. But just the small little wins to celebrate. Oh, what happened there? Oh, if you can learn to celebrate those little successes, that'll be really helpful for you. And I think that'll be your shifting point. So just those small little things.
Day by day, allow yourself to just spread the comfort blanket a little bit further, a little bit further, a little bit further. And if you're prepared, I mean, you're a worker, you won't have got to be a physician without being prepared to put the effort in. But this is about just allowing yourself to dream and to embrace who you truly are. And when you become who you really are, doors open. Possibilities, opportunities open themselves. But you have to be authentic. You have to be the genuine you. Yeah. So we're coming to the end of today's show. Is there anything else that you'd like to ask before I hand over to Sukhdev, who's going to ask you a final question?
Yes, going back to the entrepreneurship, how do I know if it's for me? I'm feeling boggled, like I know it's not for everyone. I think they're just different personalities.
Honestly, suck it and see. There is no magic bullet that you can, well, if there is, I've never discovered it.
Okay.
When you go into a shoe shop, okay, you know your size, don't you, of your shoe?
Mm-hmm.
But you can try on a dozen pairs and none of them will fit. And then you'll try on a pair and it will feel really right. So be curious, be playful. You need to lighten up. Everything is very heavy, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Be playful, be curious, be adventurous about exploring until you find the right fit for you. In just the same way as if you went into a shoe store, you wouldn't buy the first pair of shoes you tried on unless they fit you, would you? And this is no different. It may feel bigger, but the principle is the same. You will not know until you meet the right thing. And you have to work at it and succeed. there's a famous golfer who says, you know, it's really interesting. The harder I work and practice, the luckier I get. Okay. And some of this is just about experimenting and trying and going for it. What you have in your back pocket, it's not what you want to do. I fully accept that. But you can keep the wolf from the door by working as a physician. And I've no doubt that you could work any number of a proportion of a working week to suit. So you have got freedom then to get on and do some of the other things. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I just don't know if the 5 months and me feeling so burned out and drained from trying that means it's not right for me, or am I giving up too early? I suppose only time will tell. That's what I'm
Well, what
struggling.
made you feel burnt out?
5 months doing what? Is that the training to be a coach?
Trying to do the coaching, yes, and reaching out and offering coaching sessions to people. I've within my network trying the organic marketing. I have been creating content even before that, just for my missions on my blog for the past year and a half. But I just feel like I couldn't figure out how to frame things in a way that would lead to business. I guess that would lead to making it a real business rather than a hobby, just a hobby.
Ultimately, though, 5 months to train, to get clients, to get the business in, it's very early days.
Okay. Yeah.
For me, and I can only talk about my experiences, if it feels light, it's right. If it feels heavy, then I need to look at it again and see, is this, it may not be that it's wrong, but I may be approaching it in the wrong way. So there's a difference. And if you meditate, that's a really good time to just be still and ask your inner wisdom to give you that sense of, yeah, actually it's that my approach to it is heavy, rather than it's the wrong thing, or actually, do you know what, this isn't for me. Yeah. And
Toni, how long did it take for you to become a doctor?
Years. 12 years.
12 years. Okay. So for me to build Creative Discovery Group, it took me about 4.5 years. And you're trying to fly in 5 months, you know? Don't be so hard on yourself. Like, I know you're a smart person, and I know you're going to be successful. You're going to, like, take the little bits that we talked about here today, celebrate the small wins. You know, I know you have what it takes. There's a lot of things that kept you in that glass jar, but, you know, just look outside of it.
And you have lots of skills to draw on from being a physician, and relationships with patients and listening and all of those things. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all experiences that are going to help you in your coaching career. You know, maybe you might decide to coach children and combine your cartooning in with the coaching. You know, there's so many avenues that you can take. And like, I know, just stick with it. Don't be so hard on yourself. 5 months is only.
I just want to say to you, it's time to play with this. It all feels very heavy, very intense, and I've got to succeed, and it's got to be in this time scale. Play. You'll find that actually things happen so much more easily when you're in the energy of curiosity and playfulness and lightness. And I've got to succeed. Okay. So, Sukhdev, do you want to bring the program to a close?
Yeah. One thing before I do that, I'll send you we have a blueprint. Like, Creative Discovery Group has a coaching blueprint. I'll send that to you. I'll email it to you, and hopefully that'll be helpful with your creating that success and some sort of guidance through the path. But now that we're coming to a close here, from the time we started this session with you to where you are now, there's a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles.